Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video. I am making tons of these bags here for all of my breakable stuff. For some of the more expensive things, I've been doubling up on the wool. And for just regular mugs and other ceramic stuff, I've just been making just regular wool bags like this, just to be able to keep stuff safe and hopefully not break anything else. And I had posted on the Discord page if anybody would be interested in seeing how I do it, for pretty much the very basic, very beginner stuff. And yeah, so I'm gonna make a quick video. The actual bags themselves really don't take me that long to make. There are a few different materials that you'll need, and a lot of the stuff that I'm using is I would say more higher end stuff. When I first started making crafts like this, they were not this quality stuff. I have the wool from Luann. I have linen thread that I'm going to wax. Here's the wax right here. I'm going to wax it up. You can use just any type of regular needle like this. I'm actually going to be using a super long needle just because it's a whole lot easier to sew and it's a whole lot faster for sewing the kind of thick wool there. And because the way that I sew it, it's just a real simple, is it a running stitch? I'm pretty sure it's a running stitch. I use pliers to be able to pull the needle through just because it kind of bunches up just a little bit, and then scissors if you need scissors for anything, cutting the thread I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and make it. I have the fabric here already basically prepared. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here at the bottom. This is just folded over if you want to look at the actual full piece of fabric here. So that's the full piece. I fold it over this way, and then this top part is going to be where the drawstring is going to go. So that'll be the drawstring right there. That'll be pretty nice. The bag that I'm making now will be for this bowl right here. That'll fit pretty nicely right inside there. So hopefully it'll protect it, keep it pretty safe. I figured if everything's wrapped in wool, hopefully nothing will break. But I guess we'll see next time we have an event. So yeah, we'll see. So like I said, we'll start by waxing the thread. This is just regular beeswax. You can see I've been using this stuff for quite some time. I just kind of placed the thread on top of the beeswax there. Oh, let me click on the screen. There we go. Just place the thread on top of the beeswax and just kind of push it down and pull it through. And that just waxes the thread, keeps it nice and sturdy. I think it also kind of helps with waterproofing, but you don't really need it, I guess. And like I said, when I first started sewing, I was not using actual linen thread. I was using whatever we had at on hand or whatever I could get super cheap Joann fabrics. But eventually you want to be able to say, oh yeah, this is all made with period accurate stuff. And like I said, I'm just kind of running the thread through the wax there, if you can see what I'm doing. Just placing the thread on top of the little wax ball and just kind of pulling it through. You can see if you look, that's what I've been doing, all of those little chips. That's pulling all the different fibers through, all the different thread. And I like to do it especially on both ends. It keeps it from unraveling and keeps it nice and strong. And hopefully you won't have anything break or rip on you. It's definitely important if you're doing clothes. I'm just making bags here, so I really don't think it'll need to have a whole lot of strength. But I would say, like, if you were making a tunic or something like that, you would definitely want to wax your thread. So another reason why I really like the long needles, super easy to thread. My old eyes, my old man eyes, it's not as easy as it used to be. So I'm going to start here where the fold is. That's going to be my starting point. I'm going to go across here, come up here, and then this will open, and I'll do the whole seam around where the the drawstring will go through it, and then I'll end it right back on this little spot here. So just kind of start here. I'll do a really quick, simple knot. Doesn't have to be super fancy. Like I said, if you're doing clothes, it would be a whole lot more meticulous. Definitely making sure everything is super, super strong. But the intention of this video is just for somebody who's never done any sewing ever, and hopefully this will kind of help. And I just realized I'm using red thread on red fabric, so you probably can't see any of this, but that's okay. Just super basic knot here. Very basic. Just kind of knot that. And then now we can start our running stitch. Now this little piece of thread there, let me click on my screen. There we go. This little piece of thread there, that's sticking out. As I do the running stitch in and out, I'm going to weave this through there so that it doesn't unravel. It kind of just gives it a little bit of an extra safety precaution so it doesn't, fall apart. So I'll start here, just kind of going in and then coming out. And then, like I said, this little piece of fabric, or this little piece of thread, I'm just going to weave under there and then stitch again, and then come back out, and then weave that little piece of thread under there again. So like I said, it's not super, super strong. It's not going to be a piece of clothing, but what that'll do is it'll keep it from unraveling, keep the knot pretty secure. And like I said, this is why I really like using the super long needle, because all I'm doing there is just weaving in and out, in and out, in and out. And you can basically do one entire side of the bag in one run of the needle. Okay, so see the entire side there. Make sure the thread is still threaded on the actual needle. I do that a lot. I'll pull the needle through and the thread's not on there anymore. So you just kind of pull it through. And just kind of pull that. And there you go. Now you have one whole side sewn. And like I said, that little extra stitch where the knot was, that's just kind of woven in there so it doesn't unravel. Now, here at the corner, this is super important. This is something that one of my friends that I used to do reenacting with showed me how to do. These are just called lock stitches. So you see how I ended this running stitch right here? You're just going to go backwards and then forwards again. So I'm going to go back and then forward again. And what that does, before I actually pull this through, if I were to pull this thread, the whole thing bunches up. You see that? So what this lock stitch does, if I pull, or if I go backwards and then pull back through, kind of overlap the stitch I already did, I'm going to pull this right here and it doesn't bunch. Look at that. It doesn't bunch. So now you have this really nice stitch. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving anywhere. And we'll go on to the next side. So make sure we're kind of lined up here. Like I said, when we do clothes, I'm a lot more meticulous, and I actually have like things measured out. But this is probably like I don't know, like my 10th bag that I've made in the last 2 days. So I'm not worried about it. I'm just kind of going with it. And starting this new side here, I'm going to do another lock stitch. You really can never be too careful, I guess. I just do lock stitches every now and again. And if I had a smaller needle, I would do like a lock stitch pretty much every time I filled up the needle with this running stitch and pulled it through, just because you never know. It also helps, like if you were to ever, maybe rip a seam or the thread breaks or anything like that, it would kind of keep it in place. So it'll be easier to repair. It'd be easier to repair. You wouldn't have to worry about that later down the road. So we finished right there. I'm going to pull the thread out with my pliers. And see how that bunches all up? Just kind of pull the wool. Pull the wool over your eyes. Sorry. So just kind of pull that out so it's nice and straight. And I'm going to do another lock stitch here. And you can see I did go over this flap where our little drawstring is going to go through. That's just going to hold it in place. But I do another lock stitch there. Do another lock stitch there. So now I'm pulling on it, and that's not going anywhere. So the bag itself is actually done. Like that's it. That's super easy. Now I'm just gonna sew the flap down so we have a little drawstring, flap. So when I start this, make sure you're not going through both sides. You're just going through the one side. And I'm just gonna start here and just work my way all the way around to the other side. And that's it. Super easy. Same thing, just a regular running stitch. I'm really not sure if it's called a running stitch or not. I'm pretty sure it is. I know it's not a blanket stitch. It's not a whip stitch. I think it's just a running stitch. If not, that's what I'm calling it. So just kind of working it through. I'm not really too worried about the actual measurements here. Like I didn't mark anything. Again, if I'm doing clothes, and it's a lot more important to have super even stitches if you're making clothes. I'd mark everything with like a colored pencil or something like that. But this is just a little bag. Doing another lock stitch there. It's just a bag, so it's not super important that the stitches are super even. And I'm going through this pretty quick. The actual stitches themselves are kind of big too. Again, I'm not worried about it. If it was closed, the stitches would be a whole lot smaller. That's more like the historical accurate stitching. This is just making a bag so my bowl doesn't break, so I'm not too worried about it. But this would be something that if you'd never sewn before, this would be perfect to start on and basically just practice. You know, I'm not measuring anything. I didn't even pin it down, but you can see these stitches are pretty even. I've been doing this for quite some time, so I'm kind of used to it. But if this is your first time sewing anything, you know, you want to practice. You want to be able to sit down and just kind of get familiar with it. To end this, what I'm going to do, again, I'm not sure if it's super easy to see or not. I should have used a different thread, my bad. I'm just going to kind of pull that through here where we've already kind of put the thread, make a little lock stitch so it's not going anywhere. Make sure it's nice and flat. And then I'm just going to pull my needle through here. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And I'm just going to knot it a couple times. Nothing big, nothing fancy. Just kind of pulling through and making a knot. Just going to put the needle through there. Bam, we got a little knot. And just do it again. You can do it a couple times. Whatever you want. So that's a pretty decent knot. That's not going anywhere. And again, what I like to do, I have a whole lot of extra thread here. Pull that through. I have a whole lot of extra thread. I kind of cut myself a lot just for this video. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of weave my needle through the stitching that I've already done. You can do it on the top or you can do it on the side. But basically what that's going to do is it's going to keep it from unraveling. Just a little bit easier or a little bit better. So I'm just going to weave it through there. I usually do like 2 or 3 stitches. Nothing crazy. So there, 3 stitches. And just going to cut that. Bam. There's our bag. Super easy. Now, while it's still inside out, by the way, I don't think I said that. While it's still inside out, I'm just going to take this piece of leather that I have. I don't remember where I got this. I think it was like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's probably chrome tanned. Sorry, Cameron. But just gonna take this and just kind of feed it through the bag. This is actually probably the most annoying part. If I had a safety pin, I'd use a safety pin. If you've ever pulled, your drawstring through on your swimming trunks or basketball shorts or a hoodie or something, this is always the worst, trying to feed the string back through. But not too bad. Almost there. Cool. Now you don't need a whole lot because this is as wide as it's going to be. So I'm probably only going to keep that much of the actual string there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop it through and knot it. And pull this extra long piece out. These leather strands are super awesome, and they're just big enough that I think I can do 2 bags for each one. So I just made a super easy little knot there. Cut that, turn it right side out, and bam, we have a little bag from a little bowl. Goes right in there. Yeah, and then just pull it through. Look at that. It's going right in my trade chest. In just about 17 minutes. And that's with me talking the entire time. So you guys can do it too. If you have any questions, feel free to, send me a message. Or if you have any pointers, or if I totally did not use the right name of the stitch and it's not actually called a running stitch, let me know. And we'll talk about it. But yeah, if you have any other sewing questions, feel free to send me a message. All right, talk to you guys later.